Hey, everybody. Mike here for a little solo Burn the News episode of Jackman Radio. Trying to do these more. I'd like to be able to do this, every single day. We're definitely ramping things up with Jackman Radio. We're going to be interviewing more people, and we are in the process of getting a studio space. So we're hoping we'll be able to go into a studio space in September. So that's really exciting stuff, and we want to keep creating more content for you and more up-to-date stuff. So just wanted to cover a couple of news stories here today. Obviously, in the news is the death of Donald Trump's first wife, Ivana Trump. She was a great person. She was a great lady. She was a great mother. I never changed any diapers, but from what she told me, the nannies did a great job with those diapers, and they were very stinky, believe me. They were almost as stinky as Crooked Hillary's campaign in 2016, but what can I say about Ivana? Basically, without Ivana Trump, who Donald married in, I think, 77 or 79, you really wouldn't have had the brand of the Donald. She dubbed him the Donald, I think, after their divorce in the mid-90s. And a lot of stuff that happened with Trump Tower and a lot of the decor and projects that went on was Ivana. And she did a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff. And, they were like two peas in a pod. They were described as like twins almost, a male version and a female counterpart. So it's very interesting. The rise of Donald Trump coming out of the 70s when he was still kind of cutting his teeth and, getting in with the development in Manhattan and, leaving Queens for Manhattan, which is really where he set his sights on. And I think Ivana was a huge part of that. And I don't think you would see the brash, big personality of Trump and what he later became with The Apprentice, without Ivana. So I think that was worth touching on. And of course, with any high-profile death like this, you have people who think that it's a conspiracy or something else going on. But it looks like the coroner said the cause of death was accidental, although she did have some injuries towards her side or midsection or something like that, which some people thought was a little suspect. But I just looked at this information. I haven't done a huge deep dive into it, but she's in her early 70s and. By some accounts from some friends, was in failing or poor health for a little while. And for people over 65, unfortunately, falling down the stairs or falling down is a contributor to death. So, that's kind of what I tend to think happened. Is it possible that there's something else, nefarious or, someone else was involved? Of course, it's possible. But I think at this point, I think it's an accident. It's not like, falling off of the Lady Ghislaine like Robert Maxwell did type accident. He just so happened to fall off that naked in the middle of the night or slip, when in reality he was probably taken out. And we got Jesse Ray. I believe that Epstein whacked her. Yeah, well, somebody whacked Epstein, so I don't know what he's not doing much whacking these days. He's swimming with the fishies with Jean-Luc Brunel and Robert Maxwell, no pun intended. And now that the Lady Ghislaine is in prison, we're not going to hear about it as much in the mainstream media. You're going to hear, what kind of sentence, what her time in prison is going to look like, and what that sentence is going to be. But I was telling somebody the other day, it's possible, she could survive and make it out, as long as she keeps her mouth shut on who the clients were, because she's not saying any of the big names, although a lot of them have been in the news with the Gouffre lawsuit and, other interviews from some of the other victims. We know a lot of the names and a lot of the allegations, but I don't think you're going to be seeing any of those guys going to jail, which is unfortunate, but it seems like that's kind of how it goes with our system. Bring your super chats and comments here, guys. I'll do my best to get to them. Naturalist Capitalist Reed, how you doing, man? We need wall. Look, maybe when she was walking down the stairs, somebody should have built a wall or at least a guardrail. some kind of guardrail so she could have grabbed onto it. But they ruled out Marla Maples, okay? Nobody saw Marla Maples near the property when it happened, so quite frankly, we think it was an accident, and we wish her well. So, and actually when Trump was in office, I think one of his brothers passed away, or his last surviving brother passed away, and I think he had been in poor health for a while. I mean, the thing is, a lot of these people are they're old. They're a lot older than people realize. Like Trump just turned 76 last month. So, if he were to come back for the next campaign, which I think he is going to announce, he's not going to be a spring chicken. He's not going to be. I am young. It's amazing how young I am. People can't even believe how I'm like the youngest. I'm young and I'm thin and I'm handsome, but he's going to be going up against Brandon again. And boy, the Vegas odds makers they're worried about Brandon. I mean, there's even all kinds of articles in the mainstream about Gavin Newsom potentially running to replace him, or, Buttigieg, or even Kamala, which I think it's even a bigger stretch to think that Kamala would be the one on the top of the ticket versus Brandon. I mean, they're both just so bad, and it's just going so poorly that I doubt that either of them, I think if you look at the percentage-wise, even at the Democratic Party, they want someone else. But, if they get Brandon propped up just right, like Weekend at Bernie's, and they get him looking, less Crypt Keeper-ish, they could throw him in there for another term as a placeholder. I mean, he's already a placeholder now at this point. Someone commented that he looked like I forget what it was. It was not the Crypt Keeper. On Timcast, I think it was Dave Landau said that he looked like Mason Verger from the Silence of the Lambs sequel, Hannibal, and he kind of does. Cordell, hey Cordell, where's Hunter? Hunter. Maybe we could put Hunter on the ticket. We're gonna have Hunter run. He's gonna do an art showing in Chicago. And he's going to be talking about crack and guns going off and trash cans and employing women of the night because he's got a proven track record of doing that. He brought those girls from New York City on an Amtrak. That's a jobs creator, man. He wrote personal checks. Only a couple of them bounced. That's not that bad. Let's see. We got a couple other super chats. Not super chats, but chats here. Mr. Max Mercer. How you doing, Max? Yeah. Ivana had two security cameras there. They just happened to go out at the same time, and both of the guards were asleep for a half hour. And yeah, that's likely. Mr. Reed Coverdale, we need DeSantis versus Trump. Yeah, a lot of people in the Liberty movement, and Reed definitely is. I've talked to Reed about this. He likes the idea of DeSantis versus Trump because that would just sow so much chaos. And it would be really entertaining. I mean, let's be honest. Most people at this point with politics, they're here for the friggin' popcorn, man, the entertainment show, the American Gladiator aspect of the whole deal. It's become more and more cartoonish and clownish and entertaining, arguably past the 2012 election, which was pretty boilerplate and standard with Romney versus Obama. But I mean, 2015 when God King Trump announced, and since then, the last 7 years, it's just been accelerated. It's been it's been one freak show after another. So I want to see a large clown car of candidates, and a lot of people in the MAGA movement don't want to see DeSantis versus Trump because that'll splinter and that'll cause dissension in the ranks. But I think, like any good campaign or competition, it's good to have competition to see who would win out in that slugfest. And I would have said Trump, a year ago, but the more I'm seeing from DeSantis and what he's setting up down in Florida and what he's doing, he's raised a ton of money as well. I mean, Trump certainly has raised a bunch of money off the whole Stop the Steal thing, which he didn't use any of that for those purposes. But I think he could find a way to siphon that into a campaign mode. And look, I'm asked all the time, okay, I've got firefighters asking me, I have police officers, I have doctors, dentists, all kinds of people, chiropractors, plastic surgeons, they all want to know, Trump, are you going to run again? Are you going to do it? And I say, look, I can't say for legal reasons, but I think you're going to be very happy. And I think, quite frankly, when you look at the competition, it's very disgusting. And we're going to do a great job, and you're going to be very happy. So I do think that he's going to be running again. And, I don't think DeSantis wants that number 2 spot, though, man. I think DeSantis wants to be on the top of the ticket. I think, you get a couple of alpha dogs going for the bone, just for the chaos. Yeah, well, I mean, they're making a sequel to Joker with Joaquin Phoenix, so either the campaign comes first or that movie. It's both going to be the same result. DeSantis won't run. He doesn't want to be cucked by Trump. Analytical failure. Nice to see you. Thanks for joining the stream. Yeah, he's young though. DeSantis is like 43, so I think he's got the ideas of the MAGA movement and the strategy, but he learned, from a lot of the mistakes that were made when Trump was president of what not to do. He's very slick. He knows how to troll. I mean, he's an A-grade level troll. The war that he's got going with Governor Newsom in California is very, very entertaining to watch. They take a lot of shots at each other in the press. So, yeah, I've been enjoying seeing that. And Newsom, has spent tons of money to do ads in Florida. And, of course, DeSantis is trolling California from Florida with his ads. And the strength that he showed with Disney when he told Disney that they weren't going to be running things anymore and they weren't going to be able to create their own rules and bylines. I thought that was pretty based when DeSantis did that. So I think you're going to see a lot of that energy going into the next cycle for sure. Hey, Annie and Jackman, that's my beloved Auntie Annie. How you doing? Looking forward to seeing you soon. Big supporter of the channel and of me and Eric our whole lives, and we love you, Auntie. Okay. I think he'll be happy to retain governorship until he has a clear path with no orange man in the way. Yeah, I think that's a good point too. I mean, if it is the king again, we could get him for another term if he wins. Because honestly, I think if the election today were held today, things are going so bad with Crypt Keeper Brandon that the king could get back in there. I mean, look, gas prices, okay? Just gas prices alone. And you're going to see places probably like California, $6, $7, $8, $9, $10 a gallon in gas. And regular people, even in places like New Hampshire, where the Jackmans are, $5, $6 a gallon. It's about $5 a gallon. And the Honda vehicle that I drive to fill it up about a year and a half, under 2 years ago, it's double now what it costs to fill the tank. So that's noticeable. And, you can't just blame that all on the president or who happens to be in office at that time. But that's a part of it, I think. I think that's a big part of the optics and a big part of what people perceive. Certainly the way markets can go, who's in power or who's, helping to shape some of the policy that goes out. I think it does have an impact, but it's not everything. I mean, the last time we saw gas prices this high, I think was like 2008 when George W. Bush was still in there, and they were well up over $4, $4.50 a gallon. So I think that was the last time. And of course, under Brandon, we've seen inflation go through the roof, but this has been a long time coming too. Just continue with the Fed continuously printing the money is going to drive up inflation, and that's really how it's always been. So, but when you go to the grocery store and you get like 2 or 3 bags of groceries, and it's like $80 freaking dollars. It's hitting people, where it hurts and where it counts. And your average person who doesn't usually pay attention to politics or the news cycles, well, they know that. They know the checkbook. They know to pay attention to that. So there's going to be a response. Okay, these people are in office, so we're going to vote them out. So you probably see a swing back to red. You'll see some more MAGA candidates get in there that the king has endorsed. I have a great record endorsing, okay? I think we've only lost like 2 or 3 elections, and those were probably rigged as well, quite frankly, if you look at it. Chat from Adam Fitzgerald. Yeah, I heard she was speaking at that, and I think Nikki Haley's had a great relationship with Israel and certainly AIPAC and interests like that are in the United States trying to, shape foreign policy. And I think by all accounts, when she was the ambassador for Trump, know, they were happy with each other, and he was happy with the job that she did. And yeah, she's definitely probably a second or third tier credible candidate for 2024. But if she's running against the king, that's going to be, he's going to continue to dominate news cycles and suck up a lot of the air and oxygen in the room. So, but I don't know that he'll have as much fight in him as he did in like the 2016 election. Because certainly for 2020, he seemed like a lot angrier. He seemed more tired. I think a lot of it got to him. I mean, he's being pestered for 4 years straight with the Russiagate nonsense. So that's going to impact anybody. And he was dealing with the media all the time, every single day. I love those press conferences. I do miss those, like him shouting at Jim Acosta and CNN, "Sit down, okay? Sit down, you're done. Next question, okay. Oh, you're a failing news organization too. Okay, go ahead." So I definitely miss that. That was entertaining. I love the disdain and the contempt that he had for the press. Although they have a real asymbiotic relationship. They gave him like $5 billion in free coverage during the 2016 election. So they made a ton of money. He got the coverage. And, a lot of people don't realize even early on, forces aligned with Hillary Clinton and the DNC were fundraising and promoting the idea of putting Trump on the ticket because they wanted to run against him. So, that Frankenstein came back to bite them in the ass in a really big way. A way that they probably perhaps didn't see coming. Matt Fedorka, Hinckley based. Yeah, like a turkey based. Like your favorite Marjorie Taylor Greene. She's very based. Yeah, Eric actually got to meet Marjorie Taylor Greene on the steps of the Capitol over the weekend. He was down there with Primetime 99, Alex Stein, who's had a big week. He's been dominating news cycles of his own with his stunt there that he pulled with AOC, and he went on Marjorie Taylor Greene's show, and they brought the jamming, the culture jamming down to DC. His comedy show got canceled too, so that was interesting to see. Fire Pixie. We love Fire Pixie. You do an amazing. Nobody lights my fire like Fire Pixie, quite frankly. You do a great job. Thanks, Auntie. Jesse Ray. It's just like George Carlin told us: garbage in, garbage out. Yeah, one of the things I really like that Carlin used to say, he's like, you got the Republicans and you got the Democrats. Neither of them give a shit about you. They don't care about you. They don't give a shit about you. He's like, and you hear them talk all the time about bipartisanship. Oh, it's going to be a bipartisan bill. He's like, well, when you hear bipartisan, you're getting screwed doubly. And I'm kind of paraphrasing, but he's basically calling bullshit on the whole left-right paradigm, which I think he was absolutely correct about. And there was a great multiple-part documentary series that came out like a month ago on HBO Max, all about Carlin. Awesome documentary. All kinds of old footage and interviews, and a lot of voiceover from him throughout his career, and how he basically he was just grinding for years, and he never gave up. And his wife was a huge support system for him, every step of the way. And he'd be going out on the road and not really making a lot of money, and playing these smaller clubs, and he was just unbelievable. And it's crazy to see to this day all these old clips and routines that he did. They end up being cut up on Twitter or whatever, and they're still just as relevant as they were when he originally said them. So I love to see that. That's Carlin, man. What would he think? What would he think about what's going on today? I think we probably have a pretty good idea of what he would say about Clown World in 2022. Same with another comedian that I really love that was very truth conscious was Bill Hicks. Man, what a brilliant mind that guy was. And I think he passed at like 32. So, yeah, Carlin and Hicks, man, two huge influences on me for sure. Max Mercer. Hello, Mike. Hello, Max. Like Max Schreck from Batman Returns with Christopher Walken as the mayor, working with the Penguin, which, quite frankly, the plot for Batman Returns was like my campaign. Okay, I'm going to go down in the sewer. I'm going to work with Roy Cohn. I'm going to do things that, quite frankly, they're going to make your head spin. That's one of my favorite Batmans. General Meow Meow. Economic decline go brr. Yeah, man. It's not good, Tommy, as Tim Dillon says in the Wallet skit. A lot of people are struggling right now, and yeah, it's who knows how far off the cliff this thing's going to go. What are we like? They say 30 trillion in national debt's at like 30 trillion, but it's probably more closer to like 35, 40 trillion. I mean, I don't know. They're just going to keep printing it. Nikki State. I'm from Nikki State. I hope to God not. She's awful. Where is she from? Is she from one of the Carolinas? Is she from North Carolina? I think it's a southern state. Nikki Haley. Clinton's pushing Trump as a GOP candidate. Yeah, I mean, they were hoping that Trump was going to be the nominee, and they were puffing him up in the media. And once he started winning those primaries, man, and things were coming back, and it was becoming clear that Damien was to be the candidate, they got scared, you know. And I have to say, honestly, and I told a lot of people this during the 2016 campaign, I really did think Hillary had it in the bag. I mean, that was kind of the prevailing wisdom from everybody, whether we liked it or not. She was the anointed one. You know, Donna Brazile exposed the fact that they cut a deal with all the major mainstream media sources like NBC and CNN and MSNBC that if they were to get access to Crooked, that they were going to ask her these softball questions, and they were going to, you know, be nice to her and run certain talking points. And then, of course, what happened with Debbie Wasserman Schultz during the convention when they screwed Bernie over. So all that stuff, you know, it like I said, it came back to bite them in the ass. And I think it's gotten worse for the DNC since then. I mean, the thing is just such a cesspit, and they're not doing anything for any real progressive candidates or real progressive people in the party. And they're just going with their, you know, they're going with the Biden-Harris middle of the road corporate doctrine. And that's not doing anybody any favors. And really in the last couple of years, they've been promoting all this woke nonsense. And I don't think a lot of them really believe it. I think that for fear of retribution or being labeled something, they go along with it and they pander, and they mix that with corporatism, and it's gross. It's just really gross. We can all see through it. Off topic. You do have the picture of the best Beatle on the fridge. Fire Pixie. Oh, you're a Ringo fan, huh? Yeah, I got a couple of friends who were serious musical scholars, and they both contend that Ringo is their favorite Beatle, and I'm here for that. I'm a musician. I play the drums, and I've been playing for most of my life, and I became a drummer because of Ringo Starr, because of this man right here. I think he's a criminally underrated drummer. He gets slagged a lot for his skills as a drummer, but I think he's a great singer too. I mean, I've seen Ringo perform live 3 times, and he always brings it. He does a hell of a show. So I'm glad you spotted Sir Richard Starkey up there on top of the fridge and on top of the world, really. Sad him and Paul are the only two that are still with us, but what can you do? What I would give to hear just one Hicks stand-up on modern U.S. Yeah. I mean, you can go back and take a clip of Bill Hicks in the early 90s talking about Poppy Bush and his invasion of Iraq, and then, you know, everything with Kuwait and his foreign policy. And it's you can apply that to the last 3, certainly his son, you know, W. Bush, and you know, the last 2 presidents with the Middle East. So it's yeah, I bet Bill Hicks would have a thing or two to say about what's going on. I always appreciated his bits on the Kennedy assassination. You know, he's down in the South, and they're like, "Hey man, why do you always bring up JFK? You know, why are you always talking about Kennedy? You know?" He's like, "I don't know, why do you guys always talk about Jesus Christ? Why can't you get over that?" He had a great routine about that, and a great shtick about going to the Texas School Book Depository and looking out the window and being like, "Holy shit, they're lying to us! They're lying to us!" You know, because I'm like trying to figure out where the gun's going to go out the window, and it's like going like this and going on this way. And yeah, there's some classic. You can do some great YouTube rabbit holes into Bill Hicks. And yeah, great stuff, man. One of my favorites. I discovered him in college, actually. because a friend of a friend, we were all hanging out drinking or whatever, and he's like, man, you remind me a lot of that comedian Bill Hicks. Have you ever heard of him? And I'd never heard of him, and then all I had to hear was a couple minutes, and it just clicked. Got a couple more chats here, trying to get to all of them. Oh, thanks, Fire Pixie. South Carolina. Okay. She's antebellum. Okay. Dirty Donna. Is that the nickname for Nikki? Dirty Donna. Free Thinker. How you doing, Free Thinker? Good to see you. Sorry I'm late. We'll have to go back and catch up after you finish. Absolutely. Thank you. Woke is a placeholder for economic platform the left wants but will never get from Dems. So Dems pacify voters with woke instead. Yeah, I mean, I think it's, you're seeing that. You're seeing a lot of groups being pacified and being paid lip service and having their asses kissed and buffed. And the entities and the corporations and people in power and politicians that are doing it, they don't really give a crap. They could care less about what month it is or what happened with this group or this minority. They don't really care about that, because they don't really care about people. They use it, to look good, and ultimately they use it to make money. I mean, a nice corporation like Nike, those are, great people. They do a good job. Them and Kathy Lee Gifford, they've done a great job with the sweatshops, and we're very proud of them. We love to see it. I love doing it as Trump, because he's the shit-talking Trump voice. All right. I'll super chat your channel when I get my bank card sorted. Oh, I appreciate that. And we're on Venmo too, guys. Eric wanted me to remind everybody that we are on Venmo, and that's a great direct way to support Jackman Radio. We are, like I mentioned, we're getting into the studio, and everything we've done the last 7 years has essentially been out of our own pockets because we're passionate about this and we love doing it. I would love to do this full time. I'd love to be able to do these streams every single day. So I'm just going to, charge on with it and continue forward. But that's a great way to support us. And we are on Patreon. I'll share that link really quick too. We have, I think, close to 30 patrons, and we really appreciate that. That really helps. It bought this microphone, these headphones. I think it even helped go towards the laptop that I'm streaming on right now. So it's a great way to support us. And if you like the topics that we cover, our interviews, our portfolio, we've done a lot of great interviews and years and years of reading and research, and we try to present that in an entertaining, fun, informative way on our streams and our shows. We want to keep doing that. So if you want to become a patron, that's great. And we really do everything for free though. I mean, nothing's behind a paywall or anything like that. So regardless of whether you sign up, you're going to get the best from our best, as Connery says. Your best. Losers always whine about their best. Winners go home and get the prom queen. She was the prom queen. Really? Little rock there for you. Fire Pixie, part of the Ringo fan club. It's simple because he acts so goofy that no one seems to take him seriously as a drummer. Yeah, that's an interesting point. The thing is, after the Beatles broke up in 1970, Ringo was the only one who was able to get the other three to appear on any of his solo albums. And he maintained great relationships with John and George up to their deaths. And, Paul and George, came to his wedding in the early 80s, and they did that track all those years ago as a tribute to John after John was killed. So Ringo's everybody loves Ringo. I mean, there were a couple times where he wasn't being treated so great. So he did leave the band, for maybe a week or two, but they always brought him back. I think they sent him flowers one time and they were like, "You're the best drummer in the world. Please come back. There's only so many tracks I can play on. I can play 100 instruments, Paul McCartney. I could do all the instruments, including drums, but nobody does it like Ringo." Even Paul has to concede that. They always bring him back. They always bring Ringo back. I hope to see Ringo again. He was touring, but the Flu World Order caught up with the tour, so they had to cancel some dates, but they will be back, and I will be there if possible. Lauren, Bill Hicks has a bit about Ringo, something about how they were so high they wouldn't even let Ringo sing some songs. Yeah, he's like talking about the doing the drugs and the songwriting process, and he's like, oh my God, look, Ringo's up on the ceiling. What's Ringo doing on the ceiling? Let's pull him back down. And yeah, they were so high they wouldn't even let Ringo sing some. Family Guy has a great bit that you can find on YouTube where, John and Paul are talking about their songwriting process and trying to write a song together. And Ringo comes up to him and he's like, hey, I wrote a song, and he hands it to Paul, and Paul's like, oh, that's great, Ringo. We'll take it and put it right up on the fridge. Treat him like he's like a little kid or something. That was funny. My boy, Reed Coverdale, naturalist capitalist, Kaufman. Oh, yes. Jeremy Kaufman, who's running for U.S. Senate as a Libertarian candidate in the Great Granite State, New Hampshire, will be the guest on Four Horsemen this Sunday with Eric and Ryan Dawson and Reed Coverdale. Coverdale's the guy. Get him out of the truck, off the road, and into the White House. That's going to be a pretty base time. I think Kaufman's made some awesome ads. If you have a chance, check out his Twitter. I think they're on YouTube as well, but I think Reed was involved in creating several of them. But they got one, War is Gay, where it's like they got bombs being dropped by our made and dropped by defense contractors, and they put like a rainbow flag on them. And yeah, I think we should make war gay. I've always been equal opportunity about making war gay, making bombs gay. You don't have to be straight to shoot straight. I like that one. That's a good one. Hey, Jordan Handy. Jordan, give me a hand. Do you have small hands, Jordan? FPC. Yeah, Jordan is a Franklin Pierce distinguished alumni where Eric went to college. Franklin Pierce, it's now called Franklin Pierce University. But to those who were in the know, it was called Franklin Pierce College, which many thought was Fisher-Price College, which was a nickname, probably for the amount of drinking and slacking off that some of the student body did. But Jordan's a fun time, and he's the Better Call Saul of Vermont. So if you need any kind of legal help or anything like that, he's your guy. Where is Eric? Eric's actually working his day job right now, believe it or not. I was able to do this. Alexander Emelianov, thank you very much. Support the Jackman boys. I greatly appreciate that. Thank you. Jordan, we love you too, man. It's great to see you last summer. Appreciate you coming down to see the band play and Ringe and have some barbecue. We like to have fun and play music and talk about conspiracies and eat barbecue. We want to keep doing that, okay? They're good guys. Well, we try. Thank you. I saw Eric with Alex Stein clip they showed on, oh, cool, on Rockfin. Yeah, next stream we do with Eric, I'll have to have him give you guys a review of his VIP time with Primetime 99. I guess they had a great time in D.C. Marjorie Taylor Greene showed up, and they were on the steps of the Capitol doing a J6 reboot soft relaunch. Okay, we're going to go down there. We're going to march. I'm going to be with you. I'll be right there with you, watching from a comfy couch in the White House with hot cocoa and well-done steaks with ketchup. But, yeah, it was a good trip. It was definitely a good trip. The world is just a roller coaster, Bill Hicks. Right, yeah, talking about, yeah, it's a ride. And anytime you can get off the ride, because it's just a ride. That's a great inspirational Bill Hicks clip you can listen to if you're feeling a little maudlin or you're feeling a little down, you need some inspiration. Bill Hicks, as funny as he could be and like outrageously, belly laughing funny, he was also incredibly insightful and introspective and just very smart, very, very brilliant guy. Still such a huge loss, man, that he's not around. How about your car insurance? Well, you know what, Jordan? In New Hampshire, we don't have to have car insurance, okay? That's all I'm going to say. Okay. If you get David Hasselhoff to co-host, you could call it Jack Hoff Radio. But thanks, General Mau Mau. I've always loved one of my favorite movies Hasselhoff did was the one that his daughter filmed where he's on the floor of the hotel eating the burger. He's like, I'm sorry. I think it was like a Wendy's burger he was eating. It's incredible. That was a low point, but I thought it was a great performance, and I think he did sober up after that. So let me take a sip of Pellegrino in honor of David Hasselhoff drunk on the floor eating a burger. Okay. Yeah, the correct spelling. I was first exposed to Hasselhoff Baywatch. I was a big Baywatch guy. I looked at Baywatch for the articles. I like Baywatch for the articles. Can we get a Trump impression shilling for Jack and Radio? I think that's what I've been doing the last 35 minutes, Alexander, quite frankly. If you look at a lot of the times the Jackmans are behind a mic, they're doing my voice. They've made a lot of money off me and my image, and I think I'll probably sue them, okay, quite frankly, because nobody's ever seen Rosie O'Donnell and the Jackmans together in a room, okay? So I'm not saying that they're the same entity, but if you shave and put a wig on them, let's talk about it, okay, quite frankly. Fire Pixie. We love rainbow frogs. We love gay frogs. We love LGBTQI CIA frogs. We love them all. I want to make all the frogs gay, quite frankly. I love every frog. Even the ones from Sandy Hook. Fire Pixie. You'll Venmo me if I give you a really good Miss Lindsey Graham. Wow, how about that?
Well, Fire Pixie, I got news for you. Me and Senator Larry Craig are going Broadway. We gonna start our own vaudeville performance. We gonna come out with the Rockettes and do our little dance with our leggings. It's gonna be a good time. And the show, the best part about it, it's being underwritten by Raytheon and Blackwater. So it's gonna be dark, and it's gonna be deep, and it's gonna be moist.
Oof. That's. I hope you like that one, Fire Pixie. That's for you. Lindsay's always with us, We love Lindsay. Lindsay, come on, come out. Come out of the closet, Lindsay. It's okay. It's okay. The Just a Ride bit was the most touching thing I've heard from a comedian and spiritual. Yeah, man. The Just a Ride, like I was saying, when you need some inspiration or, and Carlin's work too, man. I mean, there's tons of great comedians. I need to go into a Bill Hicks deep dive, I think, soon. Maybe next time I'm having some whiskey or something, He was also a musician. He released a couple of albums, and there's a great documentary that came out probably like a decade ago about him. And I think his family or sister or his estate were involved in that documentary. And the name of it escapes me, but it's worth watching. It's really well done. They got really cool animations in it. Some interviews and voiceovers from him. So that's definitely worth watching. Jordan, it was room service. What was room service? What do you mean? Amazing. Oh, thank you, General Meow Meow. I appreciate that. I appreciate you. Free thinker. Is that Poikinen or is that pasta as for free thinker? Maybe that's pasta. Guys, I'm not on Twitter or Instagram. I guess I need to get one going so I can figure out who's who. Call. Have you been on AM Wake Up? No, I haven't. Eric's been on there, and yeah, we had Pasta and Poikinen on Jackman Radio. We had a great time. Those guys are a lot of fun, tearing it up out in Vegas. We got to get out there to visit them. We would have a lot of fun for sure. But I'd love to go on AM Wake Up Call. Yeah, let me know anytime.
We're going to still keep bombing brown people, and I'm still going to keep doing my thing, and you still going to keep electing me. I'll serve you a bowl of grits wearing a skirt if you want. If you give me enough in the Venmo.
Fire Pixie. Thank you. And another way to support us, if you guys like this this Twisted Clown show, is buy me a coffee. You don't have to become a member. It's like a tip, basically like a virtual tip jar. Yeah, buymeacoffee.com/JackmanRadio. I don't know, you can do $5, $10, or $15 or whatever. And yeah. Or become a patron. I'd love to see our Patreon double. That'd be cool. I just want to do this full time. I want to do this full time, folks. We're doing InfoWars 15, 20, 25, 35 hours a day. We're tired. Okay. I'd say try an AOC impression, but you will lose brain cells attempting it. Yeah, I don't know, guys. I don't really have an AOC impression right now. I'll work on it, though. General Meow Meow, I will work on that for you. AOC, they're saying, some people are saying her for 24. I don't know if she'll quite be 35. Maybe she'll be old enough to run, and then by the time she would be inaugurated, she'd be 35. But I'm pretty sure you have to be 35 to run for president, or at the day of inauguration, you have to be 35 years old. But I'll work on an AOC. I'll work on it. Primetime 99 could probably do a good AOC impression. They're saying that's the best, still a better love story than Twilight. You and your brother need a sketch comedy show where some of your scenarios with your characters become real. Lindsay on Broadway.
Hey, if you like that analytical, I'm doing another one called Lindsay and Lindsay, which is me and Lindsay Buckingham going on a road trip together, saying nasty things and eating carbohydrates and saying nasty things about Stevie Nicks.
Rocky, thank you so much for hooking us up on Venmo and being an awesome supporter. Really appreciate it. Alexander, I've donated so much money to Reed Show when you're on to try to get you to do Lindsay. Oh, I hope I've done it every time. I really appreciate that, Alexander.
I'll do Lindsay anytime for you. You just give me a call. We can go on down to my favorite holler and we'll make some bathtub whiskey and hang out in the leaves and roll around and talk about days of antebellum yonder.
Oh, we get a super chat here. John B, Sloop John B. I'm a Tulsi supporter, but her participation in WEF Davos Young Leadership Program, along with Newsom, concerns me. Your thoughts? The young leadership thing, was that something that was years ago or before she was in Congress? Or I honestly don't know a lot about it. I have to look into it. And I know a lot of people were concerned about Tulsi being part of the CFR. And when we had her on Jackman Radio, I asked her about, conversations she would have with the head of the CFR. I forget his name off the top of my head, but basically her explanation for her CFR involvement is she wanted to bring her anti-war perspective and how she feels about foreign policy to the table. You're not going to be able to have a seat at the table unless you get a seat at the table. And sometimes that means you got to toil with some unscrupulous people. And politics is a dirty game no matter how you slice it. So even people who have integrity like Tulsi, they understand that they got to, when she was in there, if you want to get a seat at the table, you got to elbow some people and get in there. So, but yeah, the World Economic Forum, Davos, I don't know a ton about that. I'd have to look into that. Newsom, yeah, I don't know a lot about Newsom's involvement either. But yeah, I mean, any of these groups, obviously, these are globalist groups. They're pro-war. They're pro-regime change around the world. And I don't know what those meetings look like, but certainly Tulsi said that she was there to promote an anti-war, anti-regime change view. So I'll have to look more into that. But John B., I really appreciate your super chat. Hasselhoff ate a room service burger. Is that what it was? Room service brought it in. I love how you know that. Slow the news days, Poikinen. Convo couch is pasta. Right, and AM wake up is Steve and pasta together. Yeah, with their powers combined, they're very powerful.
They're very powerful out there on the strip. And, Auntie Lindsay would like to come out there with some of his savings and post some slot machines with some of them Chippendale boys. So if Pasta and Steve could make that happen, Auntie Lindsay going to be there. He going to do it.
Do your libertarian shtick where you go off about all the different types of libertarian that you are. That's more of an Eric and a Reed thing. But I think it's kind of like a little bit Lobert, a little bit Faketarian, and a little bit Mecock. I think that's what you're referring to. AOC got booed the other day at a concert. Oh, really? Was it a J-Lo concert? A J-Lo impersonation concert? They didn't like her. If SNL wasn't retarded, I really appreciate you saying that. It's funny, in my high school senior yearbook thing, they, one of the questions is, what's your dream or what do you want to do in life? And I said, salvage SNL with my comedy. How hubris is it for an 18-year-old to say that? But yeah, well, if they weren't retarded, they would have hired Shane Gillis. Brilliant comic. Yeah, SNL is pretty. They're largely irrelevant. They did a skit with Epstein about Epstein a couple years ago, and they had him like down in hell, and they had other people down there joining them, and they're a DNC clearinghouse. I mean, that's pretty obvious, pretty apparent. Just like all the late night shows. Years ago, I don't know. Oh yeah, with World Economic Forum. Well, hey, John, I'm going to look into that. Alex is going to look into that. I'm going to get back to you. I got my army of frogs are going to be jumping around, tadpoling around, looking into the Klaus Anal Schwab, Infowars Doc Schwab, Brendan Schwab. We're going to look into all that for you, John. Salute, John B. I love you. Thanks for your comments. Fire Pixie, I love you. Big heart to Fire Pixie. What a beautiful supporter. Beautiful supporter of speech and transparency and not fake news, but real news, not the fake stuff. Thank you, free thinker.
Oh, Fire Pixie, you would never have a mint julep until you had Auntie Lindsay's mint julep. The secret ingredient, and I'm going to share this with you because I like you. You sprinkle in a little bit of Agent Orange in that julep and you get that right kick. I like to serve that whenever I go to Vietnam.
Bordertarian. That was the other libertarian thing. No, it's great because the libertarians have a sense of humor and they're not afraid to, it seems like this cycle, get in the muck a little bit more and do some street fighting. We were supporters of Gary Johnson in 12 and 16. And I remember one time having dinner with Gary and we were just kind of talking about the campaign and some of the strategy. And I was like, I was kind of fired up. I was like, Gary, you got to go out there, man. You got to kind of go into attack mode and you should say this at one of the debates. And he's like, oh, no, we're not going to be doing any of that. Okay. We're not going to be attacking or saying those things. We're going to run on 50 laboratories of innovation and we're going to exchange ideas. And what's Aleppo? So that's kind of what we can take away from that. Ben Salman is evil but cute. No? Yeah, Ben Salman has major magnetism. I mean, if you need someone to chop up a journalist, Ben Salman's your guy. Get him out of the embassy and into the White House. Brandon knows. But yeah, no, Ben Salman has a major allure. Are you kidding me? Him and Putin should do like a calendar with 10 other strong men. Like we'll get Bolsonaro, we'll get Don Jr., we'll get like the ghoul there from Belarus, or I forget what country that was. There's one ghoul who's like he's a Putin acolyte and he has like a gym, and we could have him be on the cover of that calendar. But yeah, Brandon went over there and met with Ben Salman, and depending on whose news agency you believe, they talked about Khashoggi, obviously, and Ben Salman clapped back. He's like, oh yeah, Khashoggi? Why are you so concerned about Khashoggi? What about that American journalist that the Israelis killed that you guys aren't saying anything about? And I think that's a great point. That's a valid point on Bonesaw's behalf to bring up. that was not collateral or an accident. That journalist clearly had a helmet that said press on it, or her jacket, or vest said press, and the way that the bullets were and how she was shot, where it wasn't sloppy. She was targeted by a sniper. They killed her because they didn't like what she had to say about what's going on over there, the Gaza and the West Bank, and her reporting and what her news stories are. So they killed her. And there's not going to be any kind of accountability for it, just like there's not going to be any accountability for Khashoggi's death. So those are some ghoulish entities that have the power to do that. And when Brandon or Trump or whoever shows up and, raises their hand, may I go to the bathroom, please? Oh, and can you stop killing journalists? It's just going to be the same result. Yeah, Chechnya, the strongman from Chechnya, dude, he loves Vlad P. Dude, he's a major fanboy. He's got like a gym, and I don't know if he did the motorcycle stuff with the Night Wolves, but if you guys have never seen a clip of the motorcycle gang in Russia driving around with Putin, dude, it's everything. They got Putin in kind of a granny one that has the one wheel on the front and the two in the back, where they kind of got training wheels for Putin, so he's not on a real motorcycle, so he doesn't fall and it's not embarrassing. It's like when he's ice skating or playing hockey. Like he's not the best hockey player, but he still scored 13 goals in their last game. Tulsi called out Turkey and Saudi, but not, I don't know if Ilhan Omar or what you're referring to there. Fire Pixie. Imagine my lack of surprise. Yeah. So, we're seeing a lot of the same old stuff. I did a stream the other day with 9/11 researcher Adam Fitzgerald, and we talked a lot about how this is in the news now because of what's going on with that golf league, the LIV golf league, and they're actually having their tournament at Trump's Bedminster. So the levels of ghoul that are on that are just tremendous, and they've given golfers like Phil Mickelson like $150 to $200 million. And, I understand that there's other golfers who aren't making that kind of coin. And the PGA, their policies suck. They should pay their golfers more. But it's not about the PGA. It's not about what golfers are paid. It's about the fact that Saudi Arabia was involved in the 9/11 attacks. They funded several of the hijackers. Money was coming over from a princess of the Saudi kingdom. It's the family members who've been fighting to have that information released for 20 years. And they want accountability and they want justice for that. So right now, golf, it's in the news because it's golf and it's a sport. It's a popular sport. And some of them are American golfers. Some of them are from other countries. But they're being paid a lot of money by Saudi Arabia. And they're being accused of sports washing, which I think is a fair accusation. But I also made the point, if you had $100 million dangled in front of your face, what would you do? I personally wouldn't take $100 million from Saudi Arabia. That's no amount of money could make you feel good about yourself, no matter what you're doing, whether you're a golfer or making a movie or whatever your profession is. It's very blatant what they're trying to do with that. So that's how I feel about it. And one of the last news stories I wanted to touch upon was the shooting at the Indiana Mall. I think 4 people were killed and another 2 injured, including a 12-year-old. And there was a young fellow, 22-year-old fellow, after about 2 minutes or so, maybe a little bit more after the shooting commenced, was able to stop the shooter, with his legally owned firearm. So the authorities and everybody there knows he's a hero, and he prevented that from being an even worse slaughter than it was. So it's continuing to see all the stories about the shootings is absolutely horrific. But that guy prevented it from being a lot worse. So I'm glad to see that angle of it is being covered. I think it should be talked about. Hero. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, guys. So I just wanted to do a stream and talk to you and cover a couple news stories. And I really appreciate everybody's support. We are on Podbean. We're on YouTube, Spotify, Apple. We do Apple. I think iTunes. I think we still do iTunes. And if you want to support us, hit up the Venmo that goes right to us and the Patreon, or buy me a coffee. And we got great things coming. Studio space in September. more interviews that we're working on. We're going to be doing a lot more stuff with Reed Coverdale and Naturalist Capitalist. And, I think liberty is alive. Liberty and freedom is alive. And we'll keep talking about these issues and, having conversations with our beautiful fans like Fire Pixie. I laughed so hard. I appreciate it. We got to laugh too, guys. I want to do more streams with more impersonations and more humor, and obviously politics and conspiracies is the bread and butter, and we're going to be doing a lot more with that. But we want to do more with music and film and pop culture and television shows that we like or find merit in. I mean, a lot of it's garbage. Most movies that have come out, it's just complete garbage. But there's diamonds in the rough to be had. So, all right. Thank you, everybody, and have a great day.